Big news spinning around on the interwebs and social media, of course. Terence Bud Crawford gets stripped to the IBF title. A shocking decision for some. It was not a shocking decision for your guy here at combattalkradio.net. And unfortunately, people on NSB and other places started chiming in with false narratives. And I think it's important that I add some clarity because some of what they're saying doesn't make any damn sense. Now, first of all, after the IBF strips Terence Bud Crawford, the IBF, of course, he is no longer the undisputed, right, as far as across the whole title division. He's no longer undisputed. There's now a dispute. This goes back to what happened with Lomachenko. When IBF took this from Crawford, they elevated Jaron Boots Ennis to full IBF champion. People on NSB and other places refer to this as being an email champion. However, I'm noticing some inconsistency in the use of that term because they'll call him an email champion, but then they wouldn't call other guys email champions. And I am noticing a little bit of color and tone to the skin as to when they refer to as an email champion. And the email champion title came from Tank Davis, who referred to other guys as an email champion because they received their title, quote, via email or postal mail as opposed to winning it in the ring. When Bud gets stripped, and I say rightfully so, when Bud gets stripped of the title, people start chiming in saying it's not fair. He just got the shit. He hasn't had a chance to do. Let's put down some dates here. In November, so we're talking at this point, November 2022, the chatter was starting to increase. So the negotiations had started. The conversations had started well before this with Spence and Crawford to finally get in the ring and unify the division. Unifications have historically trumped mandatories, as in as long as you're trying to unify the division, they mostly leave you alone, or if you're actively fighting mandatories. Spence fought IBF mandatory Carlos Ocampo, so he had defended the mandatory. Unfortunately, Mikey Garcia sold the media and sold the business on him seeing something and that he could do it, and Mikey was highly ranked at 147 when they put him there. He shouldn't have been, but they highly ranked him. Since they highly ranked him, the Oryx gave it a pass because Spence is fighting a highly ranked opponent. The whole mandatory thing really only comes to a head if you're not fighting highly ranked opposition. This is why I had such a beef with the fucking WBO, because Crawford was not fighting highly ranked opposition. He only fought two ranked guys. One of them was Sean Porter, one of them was Kavaliauskas. After that, the mandatory Avanesian was a mandatory. Crawford was not fighting highly ranked dudes. He was not fighting highly ranked guys, but WBO refused to strip him. But yet on Spence's side, there was chatter that, okay, we need to strip him, we need to strip him, we need to strip him, when Spence was fighting top-ranked guys. The guys Spence was fighting or challenging, because some of those fights never went through, fighting or challenging, it was somewhere between top 1 and top 5 every single damn time was freaking Errol Spence. He was stepping up and fighting the guys that were there that were highly ranked. Them being highly ranked wasn't his fault. Fast forward now, okay? We finally get to close to negotiation, apparently close to a deal with Spence and Crawford. So Spence is trying to unify. Okay, he beat Porter for the WBC. Manny tried to chase Crying Garcia. He gets stripped for the WBA. Ugas gets elevated to full titleist. He never beat Manny. He couldn't because Manny was not going to fight Ugas, as we saw why Ugas retired Manny. Ugas gets full WBA. Spence unified WBC and WBA. He's actively going after top-ranked opposition and unifying the division on his side, and then trying to seek a fight with Terence Crawford. And again, we get up to November. Crawford walks away from negotiations at the last minute, makes a bunch of excuses out in the public, robs BLK Prime of allegedly $10 million. Avanesian's a mandatory, but he refused to unify with Spence when he could have, and WBO sat on it and did not strip the dude for not fighting up to that point, because that had been years where he did not fight anybody highly ranked, and just now fights a mandatory when he really should have been unifying with Spence at that time. Spence actively said, I want Crawford and I'm not going to fight anybody until I fight Crawford, which people said was a mistake. The point is Spence's vision was always, strap season. He was always about unification. He was trying to unify the division, and fighting the top-ranked guys are how you got that unification to eventually happen. Now, fast forward, we get to July, and then finally these guys are going to get in the ring. Crawford beats Spence easily. I argue that Spence was not fully there, mentally, physically. Regardless, Crawford unifies the division. He has all the titles now. Meanwhile, underneath all of this, boots have been made the mandatory for IBF and was waiting for a title shot. The reason that they didn't enforce it on Spence, and this is what people don't understand, they didn't enforce it on Spence because Spence was busy unifying. unifications almost always trump mandatories. Spence was actively unifying, whether it was Porter for the WBC, Manny/Ugas for the WBA. He had the IBF. He fought a mandatory off that one with Ocampo, and then he fights highly ranked Mikey Garcia. So at no point was Spence like actively ducking smoke by fighting low-ranked guys that Crawford was doing. So the orgs left him alone. They left him alone about it because he was showing an active pattern of trying to unify the division. It's not the same damn thing that people are talking about now, saying, no, they should have stripped Spence. Spence was actively trying to unify the division. Crawford was not. Crawford should have been stripped by WBO, but WBO is freaking crooked. You know, what Bob ordered, right? So because WBO is freaking crooked, they did not strip Terence Crawford like they should have for him actively avoiding smoke with the guys he should have been fighting. Now, fast forward, we get to the fight. Crawford unifies the division immediately. So this is August now. IBF sends a message saying, we need you to fight Boots because Boots is the mandatory. You need to fight Boots, show cause. Crawford takes a month to get back to the IBF saying, well, I mean, Spence said he's going to do the rematch, so there's nothing we can do. Just to put a timeline here, it was a week later after IBF sent that letter that Spence said, I want to do the rematch. Crawford went on an interview and he said, you know, it's probably not going to happen. I mean, you know, it's probably going to have to happen at 147. You know, I don't know that I'm going to be able to, you know, I don't know that I'll be able to make 147. I mean, he's got to show that he can't make the weight. He's doing everything he can to sell the media and sell you, the world, that he is not likely to fight Spence next. After post-fight where he said, yeah, we could do it 147, but I'd like to do it 154 because it's hard for me to make weight too. I understand, it's cool, I'll fight whatever. And his freaking trainer, Big Mac, coming out talking about, ain't no point, look, somebody saying same outcome, ain't no point. So they're selling that there's no point in a Spence rematch. They're selling this idea that Spence rematch ain't gonna happen, there's no point, the weight, Meanwhile, his whole team, Crawford's whole team, is talking about we should just do it 147 so that Spence won't take the rematch. So they're selling the idea that no, there shouldn't be no point in fighting Spence. Meanwhile, Boots is forced to wait with this nonsense in this interim. If Crawford didn't want to fight Spence, let's say he didn't, because his team made it seem like he didn't. If he didn't want to fight Spence, you fight a mandatory. That's what I said on various places is I don't give a shit what you do. You fight, either do the rematch with Spence, fight a mandatory, or vacate. Those are your three options. What IBF did was correct and proper and appropriate, and I wish the other orgs would get some balls and do the same thing, which is you need to start stripping this dude because he had three choices and he was playing in the media instead of just being solid and saying, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing, which I said should just be, you know what? Fine. If I'm Crawford's team, I'd have said, okay, if you think that win was a fluke or you think that he was weak or you think that this was whatever, fine, let's do the 154 and I vacate all titles because I got the achievement, right? That's what I would have done. Crawford chose not to do that. Crawford chose to sit on the belts. See, it's that, right? If the rematch is going to happen, because that's what Crawford told IBF, if it's going to happen at 154, and Crawford himself said it's hard for him to make the fucking weight, okay, then drop the titles, vacate all the titles. I got my achievement. I did what I needed to do. I made the history. I'm going to drop the titles and let guys fight for the shit. He didn't do that. He held on to the belts because he doesn't want to go to 154. And the reason he didn't want to go to 154 is because he doesn't want to fight Spence in 154. All the chatter about Jamel Charlo, that was bullshit. He wasn't going to fight Jamel at 154. He doesn't want that smoke. He wants to stay at 147 and be a weight bully, effectively, because if it's hard for him to make the weight, that means that's what you're doing. You're being a weight bully at 147. Meanwhile, you got Boots Ennis over there breathing down your neck, and you didn't want to fight that dude when you could have fought him and should have fought him, and that would have allayed what we saw. Because you could have had a conditional agreement. You could have told IBF, look, I will agree to fight Boots, conditional on the outcome of a Spence rematch. So if we fight, we're going to fight at 154. I'm not going to play this 147 smoke. I'm going to tell Big Mac to put a burger in his mouth and shut the fuck up. I'm going to make the decision. Right now, I'm the lead on this. I'm going to fight Spence at 154. Let me shut up the naysayers that weight had something to do with it or drain had something to do with it. I'll fight at 154 and prove that narrative. Meanwhile, I will agree to fight Boots Ennis at 147, contingent on that outcome. If Spence spanks me at 154, okay, I'll come back down to 147 and I'll defend my title against Boots. If Spence beats me, if I beat Spence clean, easy, like I think I can, at 154, I'll vacate all the titles and free it up for Boots. But the point is, it's like, You gotta do something where you have an agreement that you'll fight the guy for the title, with some condition or something. You can't just not respond. And then Crawford himself even said he had no intention of fighting Boots. I'm sorry. I know some don't like it in his fan base, but that's a duck. He essentially ducked Boots Ennis because Boots was calling him out saying, okay, let's do this. And then the IBF calls him mandatory and Crawford ducks it. Spence never received that mandatory message because Spence was trying to unify the division. Crawford was never actively trying to unify the division, and he waited until the right moment, which I don't give him no smoke on. He waited for the right moment to catch Spence. Cool. And then do one unification after Spence did all the work. So IBF did the right thing here. Congrats to Boots for being IBF champion. Boots, you are effectively an email champion because that's how you received it. Your job now is to use that, leverage that to get the fights that you say you couldn't get. Because if others will really want that smoke, they're going to come after you. If that's the case, it may be that nobody comes after you. Because look what happened with Andre. Look what happened with Jamal at points. The guys weren't coming after some of these guys. So it's possible it doesn't do you any good. You'll just be the title. If mandatories come your way, and they're going to come your way, your job is to fight them if the mandatory calls it in. If they don't want to do the mandatory, you just say, I'm that dude. I'm that dude. And then wait to see what happens with Crawford, because hopefully the other orgs will step up and start stripping Crawford if he's not going to do something at 147, and he's not going to make a firm decision on the rematch with Spence because he still ain't done that shit either. I celebrate what happened. It's unfortunate it has to be that way, but you're dealing with a guy who never really wanted to do what he needs to do in terms of fighting the guys he's supposed to fight when he's supposed to fight him. And instead, he took the easy route to get to where he is. I don't hate on that hustle. I'm saying he took the easy route to get to where he is. So I look at that and say, okay, well, if that's what you're going to do, it is what it is. But I'm looking at it the bigger picture of the division. I'm looking at it what these guys are sitting to have to wait on him to make up his fucking mind. The last thing I'll call out is that allegedly, this was Bozy Ennis who came out and talked about how Boots apparently tried to book a fight with Cody Crowley. That would have been the top two guys for the IBF title, potentially to have an eliminator. The problem is that Boots is already the interim champion. If Boots were not the interim champion, they could have stripped Crawford, had it vacated, and then had a title eliminator, or allowed Crawford himself to vacate, kind of like Josh Taylor did. So this whole situation is smoke, man. It's crazy because Crowley refused to fight Boots, and I think that's because he knew he wasn't gonna beat Boots Ennis. I think that's the reason why. But the whole situation is crazy because, again, Boots gets called email champion, rightfully so. Devin Haney was called an email champion at the time. What it is, Lomachenko wasn't called an email champion when that happened to him. Okay, so where are we disconnected here? Some guys, they'll call him out as an email champion. Tim Tszyu just recently, he got one. He got that mail. So where's that happening? What the hell's going on here? I want people to be consistent. Okay, it should not be about skin tone. Okay, if you went through the same chain to get to a belt, you call everybody an email champion or you call nobody an email champion. But don't call your guy. No, that's different. Everybody's ducking him. And then for this other one over here, he's an email champion. We know what you're doing. You're exposing yourself, Vaseline off the side, folks. Everybody's an email champion or nobody's an email champion. The bottom line in this situation, I treat this differently because Crawford had shown no pattern of fighting mandatories or attempting to unify the division prior to fighting Errol Spence. To me, that's different because he had shown a pattern of essentially duck and smoke. He wasn't fighting highly ranked. He wasn't actively trying to unify when he could have. He could have fought Ugas way before this. He tried to go against Manny. That shit wasn't going to happen because of Bob Arum. He's the one that chose to re-sign with Bob Arum, which meant he wasn't going to get the fights when Manny signed with PBC. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, he showed a pattern of not wanting that smoke. And he waited for the opportune moment to get Errol Spence. Kudos to him for his timing. I credit him for that. And he did do what he needed to do. Now he had an easy choice. Rematch and commit and agree and get it done. Fight the mandatory or vacate. IBF just forced his hand. Kudos to them for that.